Good morning, everybody. Oh, Louis, did you just put that on the screen? Jesus. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best live YouTube stream to talk about the markets. Welcome back, guys. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, so you should probably know the deal at this point about what kind of price action we can expect. We're a little bit red on the day. For the most part, the market's been trading fairly sideways this week, I want to say. I mean, we got a nice pump a day yesterday, retracing some of that today. Market's kind of indecisive here, right? As we're kind of sitting at the range highs from where we've been kind of ranging for the last 4 to 6 weeks. But regardless, guys, we're going to have a great show for you all today. We're going to talk about where we think the market's headed next, outline a ton of different scenarios, hopefully, and maybe even talk about some of your favorite assets. Who knows? If you have any of your favorite assets on the top of your mind, go ahead and drop them in the chat. But I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Prometheus and, of course, Big Louie. We are going to, I already said that, but we're going to have a great show for you guys today. Before we can start cooking, before we can get really deep into the alpha analysis, I'm going to ask if you guys can hit the like button for us. Let's run it up in the way that Thursday's price usually does not. Or maybe you want to be the support in the chart that you want to see, right? Hit the like button. I'm sorry, my jokes about the like button today were pretty bad, but hopefully the show is good. On the topic of the market, though, the S&P is down about 0.8%. Yesterday it was up, I want to say, at 1.125%. So we're still in the Hotel California range. Someday I won't have to say that, but right now the regime is pretty clear, right? We're in between 6,700 and 7,000 on the S&P. They crush vol when we get these impulsive spikes higher on news that's like bad, but not really that bad. And then the market lifts higher. But noticing that the ceiling for the S&P continues to kind of fall while the floor for the VIX continues to rise, this is the regime that we're in until one of these levels gives out, 6,700 or 7,000. Will we ever get to leave the Hotel California range, or are we just stuck here for the remainder of the Trump presidency? I guess that's becoming the golden question at this point. What I am noticing today, though, is that the Dow is down almost 2%, really leading the downside in the market. This rotation that we had seen into defensives out of tech has now kind of reversed. Is that a sign that we're about to see tech pump again, or is that a sign that maybe everything is ready to sell? Again, things I think that we'll discuss on today's stream. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what Bitcoin and crypto have done already this week. I mean, we pumped up to 74K. That was one hell of a move that we had yesterday. Squeezed a ton of shorts. We're pulling back a little bit. Is this, I've said this before, I framed it in this way. Is this kind of that low vol consolidation before our final leg down, or is this the low vol that we often see indicative of a typical crypto bottom? Again, things we'll discuss on today's episode. Not too much to write about from an individual standpoint. Hyperliquid down a little bit more than altcoins, I guess, is kind of something worth discussing. I still tend to lean that this is a high time frame bearish retest that we're seeing for Hyperliquid, but I think if we're ranging up here, a few more weeks in the same way that we're talking about these potential low volatility patterns being bottoms, that's what you could expect from Hyperliquid as well, if that's the price action that we're going to see. So to go lower or to establish value, chop, and eventually go higher, I think is kind of the crux of this intro. But what are we seeing in the market right now, guys? Will we ever leave this Hotel California range? I feel like we've checked in and we are just never allowed to leave.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm seeing volatility just persistent. The seemingly, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a death range yet. The 8-month range in BTC in 24 was, in my opinion, far worse. That was insanity in a nutshell, if you want to know what insanity looks like. And, we're seeing a little bit of a mixed bag. Circle just continuing to just chad. I mean,
again today?
Again, yeah. I mean, it's up 2% today. It's about 107. Huge move. Names that I've been short, quantum names, down bad. we're seeing gold finally showing like pretty limp meat edge patterns.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, gold is, I might be closing out my gold long right around here, break even. If we can kind of break down below the 30-day rolling VWAP, which is kind of what has acted as historical support for quite some time. And energy is now kind of starting to slow down a little bit. And one thing that I've mentioned is the ES, your risk on signal. If you can get above, like what Tommy said, 7,000 as the, more weaker names, if they're able to start to show strength, that's great signal for risk. But if you're seeing the names that have dominated the flows thus far, like the Dow, the names in the Dow, and the Dow in particular, start to roll over, you lose a lot of those, more recent supportive flows. And because of that, that's your risk off signal. That's what I'm seeing. Louis, what about you, brother?
Yeah, I mean, oil's looking really good. This is a strong weekly candle on oil. Multi-year consolidation breakout. You're likely going to close near the high of the week. That's really good. Worth watching. I wouldn't chase it, but if you get pullbacks, I think they're worth playing. Yeah, nice move out of Bitcoin yesterday. I do like that. We're at major demand on Bitcoin here. We're down 55% off the highs. A mean reversion at a minimum makes sense, right? It doesn't mean like bottoms in or anything, but a bounce. We have the weekly RSI fully reset. Last time we saw that was pretty much you were at or near the lows, other than obviously FTX bottom. But historically, when you're buying Bitcoin with the weekly RSI reset, you'll usually only takes about 6 to 9 months to be in profit on those buys. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been accumulating Bitcoin in this gray zone, right? We have our 8-month range of hell that Prometheus mentioned. We also have our 2021 all-time high double top. This is big demand, right? This is big support. Probably the biggest we have until you start dropping into like 40K, 45K. So I expect some sort of reaction here. Finally starting to see that yesterday and the day before, which is great. Love to see it. It just kind of needs to stick the landing here, right? I think we need to stick the landing. We need to stick above range highs. We do not want to see another redo of what we did here, right? Which was the kind of what we're doing now, but not confirmed yet, which was breaking a range high, unable to continue, getting back inside the range and continuing lower, right? We don't want this to turn into that again. So closely monitoring the situation here. We got some liquidity here around 69K. I could see something like this and then maybe a higher low. Bears get trapped shorting this, and then we see something like that. But we'll see, right? We'll see. But liking the move thus far off the lows for Bitcoin. I just want to see continuation. But again, I think equities are your canary in the coal mine, right? Which way is this going to break? This is some pretty insane compression going on now since December, end of December. So 3.5 months of compression. This is going to break in a big way, one way or the other, right? So
this is the Super Bowl for people who say, but what if there's an equities correction?
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's a big factor, right? It's a big factor. I don't think it'll have a massive effect on Bitcoin. I did a video on this the other day where I talked about the example, like last time we saw a big sell-off in equities, where like in this move down, right, 16% move or 17% move to the downside in just 2 weeks for the S&P. Bitcoin only made like a 2% lower low, right? It really didn't cascade further as many people expected. And that was in the March, April lows. So we could see this break to the downside. Sure, you're going to see a knee-jerk reaction. Sure, you're probably going to see some low sweeps on altcoins and Bitcoin, but maybe it's not detrimental. Why? Well, because Bitcoin and crypto have been in a downtrend for 5 months now, right? We're 55% off the all-time high. Not that means we need to be bottomed, but if we do see a downside move out of equities, I think it was obviously front ran by Bitcoin, right? So I'm just really focusing on stacking sats and chilling, right? I'm going back to the basics, buying Bitcoin at value, what I think is value prices, and looking to swing those the other way in the next couple of years. So that's kind of where my head's at, and just tracking more so crypto stocks. I think there's a lot of value in these crypto stocks, and they're a lot more reliable to play rather than your altcoins right now.
Stack sats and chill.
Yeah.
Louis taking it back to the good old days. I think your line in the sand for Bitcoin is 69, unironically. Nice, even.
Study mimetic value, man. Honestly, the Dow potentially topped at 50K. The S&P can't break 7K. Bitcoin support is 69K. You can't tell me that mimetic value doesn't matter for markets.
Oh, it does.
Mm-hmm. No, really.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Louis. Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I like that level because, like I said, we could backfill this liquidity. Everyone starts calling for the deviation back to lows, right? And then you get your higher low instead, right? Something like that. So yeah, I like 69K as well.
Closely monitoring the situation for the past 5 years. It's what it feels like.
Literally.
It's what it feels like. No, I agree. I mean, we had a very illiquid move up overnight on Wednesday. So that was obviously off the back of a few things. That was off the back of peace talks with Iran. And that was also off the back of the Clarity Act, or the crypto market structure bill getting passed. So you kind of had a dual dynamic there. Today what we saw was, at least this morning, we saw CVD rolling over, and you also saw open interest remaining elevated, which leads me to believe that, longs hadn't closed out their positions. Probably go flush those out. Spot buyers taking profits, kind of rolling over here. I think we see more downside. I think that, we were up at range highs, right? And I mentioned yesterday, getting bullish right at range highs is usually not the best idea. I want to be very careful doing that. But yeah, SPX 6900 came to fruition. But the only thing is SPX 6900 didn't go to 6.9 billion. So, one of the prophecies became true. The other one did not.
Why would I hold SPX 6900 when I can hold one SPX for 6900?
Exactly, Tommy. What are we looking at? Oh, this is what I was looking at. I think we have some room to the upside here for Bitcoin dominance. I see Barry's talking about that quite a bit. Eventually get a bottom of it, underperforms selective groups. So he's looking for a monthly bearish divergence on Bitcoin dominance. I agree. I could definitely see that. And then he says back down to 40. The only issue I have was looking at this last cycle, something I did point out was not this cycle, but the next one, the next real bull market. Looks like we lost Louis, unfortunately. That's okay. I can throw up a chart here. Was that the real adoption and integration cycle, in my opinion, is going to be the next one. And we will find out very quickly if that is true, because if we remember at the beginning of this cycle, you saw what pop off super hard. You saw liquid staking narratives, NFTs, and memes. And that's not really the narrative, the narrative builder that you want to see entering into a bull market for, institutional fundamental adoption. I do think we get that, though, at the beginning of the next bull market. If we do see RWAs pop off, I think there's a very good likelihood that you're going to see Bitcoin dominance fall drastically wherever, when and wherever that next bull market is. But locally speaking here, I do think Bitcoin dominance does look bullish. I think that we had, our pullback throughout the middle of last year and was kind of in confluence with each kind of altcoin rotations that we've seen thus far this cycle, but we saw Bitcoin dominance trending up in a higher, meaningfully higher throughout the entirety of the bull market. We never really saw that, big rollover from Bitcoin. And that leads me to believe if we enter into a prolonged bear market and we see, generally speaking, altcoins bleed against their Bitcoin pairs, do we really think that Bitcoin dominance is going to roll over in a meaningful way? I don't know if you're getting the same signal, Tommy, from Bitcoin dominance personally, but that's kind of what I'm looking at from Bitcoin dominance as a whole.
I'm not sure what to think about Bitcoin dominance here, man. I'll be honest. I felt like I was maybe more confident on it over the summer, but now, I'm really not so sure about what to expect. So I don't know. I feel like the best case scenario for altcoins and Ethereum is probably going to be a double top sort of pattern on Bitcoin dominance. But if we break the highs, there's basically no ceiling for Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion. Like if you don't stop at the highs, there's basically no ceiling. So it's kind of a risky spot. And I'm going to choose to be optimistic and say I think we're going to double top. But if we don't, that is deeply problematic. There's also the scenario too, and this is something Max and I have discussed. There's also the scenario where Bitcoin dominance actually goes down in a downtrend, because if Bitcoin really does give like a very large capitulation leg down from here, altcoins have they might just trade more correlated with Bitcoin. And I think some alt Bitcoin pairs are already kind of trying to be like, they're already kind of in their bottoming process at the moment. So, we'll see. I think that's kind of one of the more interesting things that I need to see over the next few months to be a capital allocator in alts again.
Yeah, if it's fair. That's very, very, very fair. And I talked to you about this morning, but the total 3 ES pair in relation to Bitcoin, and this chart only ever moved when we saw Bitcoin in price discovery. I think there's going to be value to be had when whatever bottom forms and wherever that's at, whenever bottom forms and wherever that's at. But as of right now, I think capital allocation in altcoins needs to be very selective. And it's, in my opinion, a losing game from a probabilities metrics. Like you're walking up to the blackjack table knowing that, the house does not have a slight edge. They have a massive edge against you. If you're betting on alts here currently. And it's that's a difficult pill for me to swallow, wanting to allocate capital into alts. Like, I'm like, why would I want to do that? Right. I mean, I hate the casino as it is, but if they had even better odds, I mean, I'd go like bet on dog races or something. I don't even know. So that's kind of how I'm looking at altcoins. But to your point, like if we go break this high meaningfully, there's effectively kind of no ceiling for Bitcoin. And something I've been playing with that, like from a hypothetical situation, is okay, we saw strong high time frame bottom out of Bitcoin dominance, right? We've been in this uptrend in a bull market, mind you, right? This uptrend did not happen in a bear, happened in a bull. And so I'm thinking to myself, if we're entering into this historically, if we see the pairs bleed against Bitcoin, alt pairs bleed against Bitcoin, what does this mean for the bear market, right? I mean, structurally, we've been holding up pretty well here. This is a structure. What's up, Louis? This is a structure I kind of talked about in the Discord this morning. This is generally speaking, this kind of structure is a bottoming formation. And I know Jackus likes to play these as well, but when you get some form of broader pullback or, capitulation or whatever it may be, and after your initial bounce, you set in your higher low. And after you sweep that, or not a higher low, but you set in some form of low. And after you sweep that low, if you can structurally remain above that low, i.e. the one that we set back at the beginning of November of last year, then usually this then leads to continuation higher. And this is a very, very, very key, descriptor for me on, where I think Bitcoin's at here. I think that we got, our retest sweep of this low on Bitcoin dominance. I know I am charting a dominance pair, whatever, but this is kind of pattern recognition 101 for me. And leads me to believe too, if I'm looking at some levels that I like to look at on the lower time frames, you are kind of getting a retest right now of your quarterly value. And if this holds, I think that's a really good indication you're going to be, rotating higher, and you're getting ultimately some form of compression on Bitcoin dominance that I believe is going to lead to the upside based off of the structure that's forming.
The reason I don't love to bid alts here is because I'm looking at two in particular. I'm looking at Sui and I'm looking at Pepe. And it's like these high time frame trend EMAs. Every time that we fired into them, we're selling off more. And I want to see that kind of like systematic selling that we've been seeing on risk within crypto stop. And I want to see it. Ideally, I want to see it shift to systematic buying. I know it's much harder to time that regime than, scooping it up at the floor. But to me, the regime is still selling alts at these trend EMAs on a higher time frame, more so than a bottoming process. So I want to be skeptical about alts still. But again, I do think that there are some alts for sure that are beginning to bottom against Bitcoin. You're going to laugh when I say one of them, but LTC, BTC, I think, I know it kind of has like no floor, but it kind of has no floor. So it's a bad example, but I don't really know if I think that's going to give like a huge leg down from here. Litecoin, Bitcoin, that is. So there are some alts that are appealing to me just from like an XMR is probably another one, just from like a Bitcoin pair standpoint. But yeah, it's a little tough to pick alts here. I believe in the chicken. Yeah. Yeah. I always felt like someday Litecoin would run, but I don't know how I feel about that, man. It's just so rough trying to Bitcoin.
I mean, maybe you get a trend line deviation here on Litecoin. I mean, this is if you're again creating like time and space below and you're accepting below and yada yada yada. I mean, this really does not look good. This is a huge trend that you're breaking here on Litecoin. Structure's broken kind of across the board. Nothing meaningful done. Really, the entirety of the bull market for Litecoin here. I mean, would you get maybe 100% move off the lows?
Nothing.
So I look at Sui though. Back to Sui. To your point, with these, kind of we'll call them like scammery projects or whatever. I could see them just pinning price here. I have a tough time with Sui here, and it's going to probably do something similar to where what you saw in like 22, where Bitcoin kind of continued to roll over and some alts just literally just flatlined, right? Because there's no buyers and the majority of sellers out of the market. And the only people that are trading it are either insiders or it's just like the team themselves aping into the chart. And I mean, I could see something pretty similar here where, it just flatlines basically here on Sui. I wouldn't want to take a short here on Sui personally. Like you're in a high time frame demand and it just looks like, I mean, it looks limp, right? And there's probably better realized volatility to the downside in other names at this point.
It's hard to trade, I think, altcoins here because it's like, you're either taking speculative shots at squeezes higher, or trying to bet that they've already hit a floor. And the flip side of that is, all right, are you really going to short an asset that's down this much from the highs? As if there's like no risk to doing that.
Yeah. You got to find a happy medium of both of those things.
That's why I continue to like equities shorts more than any other positioning in the market right now.
I completely agree with that. That's why the majority of my short exposure is equities.
The perp short I actually love right now is the Dow, but they don't have it on Hyperliquid, only Ostium.
I'm surprised they don't.
I'm too, honestly. Vitalik hates me. I don't hate Vitalik. I did for like half the market cycle. And then ETH Bitcoin bottomed.
Tommy likes him now because he's selling ETH.
ETH is like my favorite asset to trade, man.
Is it? Is it actually?
In crypto, yeah. Like when ETH trends, it's just relentless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm liking like some of the newer names, like something like a Monad is still something that's on my watch list. It doesn't have years and years and years of built up bag holders and resentment and hate. You know, it's still kind of shiny, brand new. So I've been watching that. It's putting in a nice base.
Oh, what coin? Sorry.
Monad.
Oh.
I made a comment. This looks like the dollar super high time frame chart yesterday. Like if you look at the dollar 3 month or something like that, it looks a lot like the dollar.
Really?
Yeah, let's look at it. It does. Let me throw this here. It looks like where the dollar came up and took out these highs at 25 cents. Let me pull it up here.
I think if we get a sniff of bullish reversal, whenever that may come, I think this could be a leader off the lows.
Just a little sniff.
Yeah.
Just a little. Yeah.
The dollar. I'm really not bullish on the dollar chart, man.
I am. See, this is where we differ.
This is where we differ.
This is where we differ. I am very bullish on the dollar.
I feel like it's bullish on a daily time frame, but like on a weekly, monthly, it's bearish.
It's kind of like my big fear that assets go down with the dollar. There's just like no safe haven.
There is no hiding.
Maybe Bitcoin.
It'll be Bitcoin.
Right? If the dollar's crashing and risk assets are crashing.
Eating some corn.
Some corn. Some soybeans.
Rice, right? Soybeans,
yes.
Rice.
Study rice futures.
Because rice.
Study rice futures.
Is it worth buying Israeli stocks? I think bidding emerging markets here is pretty reckless, in my opinion. When you see what happened with the Cosby and the Nikkei.
Oh, I thought you said like Bill Cosby for a second.
I just think emerging market. I do agree. Like emerging markets are probably about to go into like a super cycle, but I do think they're all going to pull back pretty substantially before that happens.
Yeah, let's look at that. Let's look at some EM. Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Breakout trading is the worst type of trading.
I cannot wait to bid EM closer to 30 to 40 bucks. Personal. But I think if you're buying emerging markets here, you are going to get wrecked.
Yeah, I completely agree. We have a guest on the show who's very bullish EM for on the spaces, that is. And I mean, good luck, sir, is all I'm going to say. Good luck.
I think this will let you bid range lows again around like $35. It's, to me, it's just like, it looks just like the S&P or the Dow in the 60s and the 80s, right before you had the massive markup into the tech bubble. I think that's where these emerging markets probably are, but
what did it retrace the entire move first?
I think so. And it doesn't have to. I could be wrong about that, but if U.S. equity's correct, like emerging markets aren't going to be a safe haven. They're going to trade more like a risk asset.
Oh yeah. USA.
I love my country, which is why I'm long the U.S. Constitution right now by shorting assets.
Hey. Dude, look at this monthly RSI on EM. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the weekly.
This needs to cool off a bit, I think.
It just needs to cool off before the next rally.
Take a seat, son. Yeah, I think gold is probably topping here. I have a long open on it in relation to, because I took the long out because I knew the Iran war was going to happen, or the Iran debacle, we'll call it, was going to happen. And I did not expect it to sell off into that. Genuinely, I thought it was going to do much better. We rejected right off the supply, and then it just, and then now it's looking to like a little ED here.
Do you think the structure looks at all like how it did 2008? I was kind of asking myself that question last night. Are we just like replicating kind of, we're speed running essentially 2007 to 2008?
2000. Oh, and here,
like that big correction there.
Yeah,
so like,
could be.
Yeah, if you take it from, if you were to like compare it from that tiny little blow off it had before the big correction, so like a few months before that,
right here.
No, I mean like the
oh, this,
yeah, that, like if you were to take it from that
mm-hmm.
and then just put that on the current structure, are we just kind of speed running something similar, which would mean gold corrects from here, but ultimately does go higher?
Just kind of speed running. Like, you think it's in here?
Yes.
Roughly. I need to drop this on the lower time frame.
You're probably gonna have to put it on the levels.
Yeah, something like that. I see what you're talking about. That shoulder formation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would set up a really nice long later in the year as well.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like, locally speaking, we don't hold a 30-day rolling VWAP. I'm out of the position. I mean, it's been concrete support the majority of the time, majority of the move that we've had up. I think if we lose that, it's probably a bigger corrective phase. Iran is shorting oil, like literally.
Wait, actually?
Huh.
Oh my God.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that?
Brother. Why?
Unless like it's going to de-escalate very quickly. But I don't see much stopping this momentum on oil right now. I mean, it could definitely slow down and pause.
Mm-hmm. I think you see some like sideways price action. This is what I'm looking for on Archrock and Exxon and all the names, where you kind of start to see some sideways. It's like, all right, I'll start taking some profits. But until then, this is a freight train. Let the momentum cook. Let it play out. No need to get hasty, right? And if you start to see some sideways, right, it's like, okay, I should probably look to take some profits here, you know? But until then, let it rip, let it cook. You know, I mean, this is a 4-year long, like, compression breakout. This is like, you should not be fading. Look at this gap and go too. I know you like this here, Louis.
Yeah.
Little gap and go.
That looks like an altcoin that's going to go rip straight to the highs and then maybe continue ranging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I would love that. My longs would love that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Get a nice entry on that one.
low key, does that kind of look like ETH in 2024? You guys remember the first ETF pump?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that one. It just looks like it probably is going to play out somewhat similar to that if I had to guess. But
I mean, you don't really want oil skyrocketing, right? Like,
no, you don't.
You really don't.
Oh my God, that's so clean. Holy shit.
Tommy, are you talking about here or here?
I'm talking about May 2024.
In between those two.
Oh, right in here?
No.
The super sudden pump we had out of that downtrending correction. Yeah, put that downtrend and the pump on crude. It's crazy, man.
Oh,
so basically, crude is going to 120.
I could see it. Position for it. Dude, I messed up so bad. I remember when we got the BTC ETF, and I was like, as soon as we get an ETH ETF, it's like a sell the news. I should sell everything, right? We got it, and I did not sell, and it literally would have marked the top for like months and months and months and months.
What is this for?
For ETH. I was like, as soon as we get an ETH ETF, I am getting out like of the market, and I would have. I mean, it would have been golden. Like it would have been golden.
I would have gotten away with it too. If it weren't for you
meddling kids.
So you think it's like this, Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And break out, take out
it
the
really
shoulder.
Does look very similar. I cannot lie. That would be one hell of a move for oil, though.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
So we came up into here. You think it comes up into 120? Oh, you're looking at this. I see what you're looking at. See, I was looking at this localized compression. Where's it at? This does not look right. Is this on log?
Yeah, that really is just so clean, isn't it? All right, now I have a little bit of confidence in where I think oil's going. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I have to post that on X.
Are there any like, what do you guys think of EVs here? I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts with EVs.
What does Rivian look like?
That's a good question.
I haven't looked at that chart, and that's going to be one of those assets where I just like keep telling myself I'll pay attention to it when I need to, and I'll just completely miss the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Rivian still looks to me like a Robinhood. I'd love to buy it at like $9, range double bottom, but I'm not bullish on Tesla. So
yeah, Tesla looks so bad. That's why I asked.
I've been trying longs on Neo. It's been
it's a tricky one.
Yeah. Like down a little lower than where it is now, but it just doesn't seem like it can get off the floor. But I've been noticing a lot of like the Asians, like the Asian stocks have been same way, like a Billy, right? I feel like it's been struggling to break out. I think I haven't really watching Baba very closely, but I'm assuming that is kind of having some trouble.
Chinese stocks, I'm not sure if they're coiling. or
I
not.
know, right?
Like, I
hard
really
to
don't
tell.
know what to think of them. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, I feel like China invading Taiwan is, for one, I do think it's probably inevitable. But I also view it as like it'll probably be bullish China, maybe bearish on the headline,
Mm-hmm.
but a dip to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see it.
EVs maybe in 20 years. Well, here's what I will say. You want to buy EV stocks before the actual adoption of EVs. If you're buying it after the adoption, like there's no longer a speculative premium or a speculative discount.
Yeah.
I saw a Tesla dealership today for the first time ever. Like I've never seen
really?
it. Yeah, like
You saw what? Tesla dealership?
they're building it right now. Yeah, it's like I was like a Lowe's that was on this like highway that I live by. It's been closed for years, and then I drove by yesterday and it was like, holy shit, a Tesla dealership. I didn't even know those were a thing. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have one kind of right by where I live. They shipped in a ton of Cybertrucks, and there's like this huge corporate like block, a real estate block, and they rented out all the corporate like parking lot space and parked all the Cybertrucks there. There was like had to have been like 200 Cybertrucks just in this parking lot. It was like nuts to see. It looks like something out of a futuristic sci-fi story or something.
For real. I think you get blinded looking at that parking lot.
Yeah, I think Chinese stocks like Baba here, I think they look good. I do. I wouldn't buy them just yet, but I do think that they're going to be buys. Baba's a little bit more clear for me than Billy. Like you had your high time frame accumulation, really nice, switch or shift back to bullish market structure. Looks to be setting in a higher low. Nice, reset here is going to happen on the RSI. And I look at Billy, and I mean, these aren't going to be like sexy names in my opinion that, are going to do absolute numbers, but same thing for Billy, like high time frame accumulation. You then get your compression on the back end, break up through it. Had a pretty vertical trend happening. Makes sense. You pull back, you're coming up into arguably like all the supply up above 31 supply, reject off of it, get some form of reconsolidation before then a bigger move. But I think they look pretty good. And if I'm looking at like Rivian,
I can tell you exactly what that Billy structure reminds me of because I've traded it before.
What?
It was the VIX in September of 2023.
The VIX in September of 23.
Yes, it probably does not end well for Billy, though, if it plays out the same. Because I was expecting a bigger move on the VIX during that period. And it ended up breaking down.
Talking
not
about
exactly the same, but just kind of like the slow grind that keeps selling off at progressively higher highs. I have been burned by that pattern before.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it is ingrained in my brain. I don't know. Maybe Billy comes back down into like the teens.
Yeah. That would be I don't know. I don't know if I see that, but we'll see, obviously. I think it's something you could allocate, a portion of your equity spot holdings to and kind of just, add it in there for diversification. Don't oversize into it because you're really not going to be, in my opinion, capturing. There's not a ton of EV here, but it could hedge out some of the other holdings,
Emerging markets, man. I mean, I definitely want to be. You definitely want to be allocated, I think, to emerging markets coming out of probably like the end of this year and next year. Because I don't really think that theme is going away.
Is China an emerging market class? Or are they like more of an established
I don't know.
market now.
I don't know. I kind of view their markets as in the same like category as an emerging market, but
I think if they didn't have such
more established than these other places.
I think if they didn't have such crazy regulatory controls on their financial markets, they would have a much, much bigger or broader bull market that it would have happened. But they impose such crazy restrictions on their stock market. I think it's actually a big hindrance in a way.
Yeah.
You know, because you want free capital. You really do, especially with stock markets and financial markets as a whole. So I think Rivian, to your point, is going to be a fantastic buy. And I think is definitely worth an add. And just from like a sentiment perspective, I think Rivian cars are sexy. I think Rivian cars are completely shit on Tesla. I love their cars. I do. I think Rivian, their truck is okay. The Rivian SUV is sexy though. I think they did a great job with it. And
we have a ton of Rivians over where I am.
Yeah.
It's very much a Denver car.
Mm-hmm. Everybody got those like electric credits, you know, for like solar and EV cars. So, but I really like their car, and because of that, I think it's a buy. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like you drink Coca-Cola, you should buy Coca-Cola stock. You know, you drink Pepsi, you should buy Pepsi stock. There's been people that have historically done that. Like they drink Coca-Cola, they, you know, drive a Ford. You know, they drive a Ford. They use baby powder. You know, so what did they do? They bought 3M. They bought, you know, Ford, and they also bought Coke. Right. So it's one of those things. He does enjoy some Coke. Hey, to each their own.
Sometimes it is that easy.
Yeah, I mean, it really should be, you know, if for the majority of people, you know, where just buy what you enjoy, you know,
or you see other people enjoying, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh wow, those McDonald's have been really busy lately, you know.
Did you guys see the video of the McDonald's CEO that didn't even want to eat their burger?
Our new product. I mean burger.
It's like, wow, you sold me, brother.
Dude, all the other CEOs are like clowning on him. Like there's like the Wendy's CEO came out, the Arby's CEO. Also, Arby's is disgusting in my opinion. Except for the curly fries.
It used to be good. I don't even trust it enough to try it anymore. But I used to love Arby's.
Yeah.
But I see the decline across the quality of other fast food chains, and I'm like, I am not going to chance it with fast food roast beef.
No. That's
gross.
Horrible.
But it was fire. Like I'm not going to tolerate just like blatant Arby's slander. Like I did enjoy Arby's for a little bit.
Dude, I love their curly fries. Their curly fries were great.
They're elite, yeah.
Dude, but he's like eating this Arby's sandwich, and he's like throwing the sandwich around and like opening it up and like, you know, fingering the roast beef, and he's like, oh, look at that roast beef, and like, you know, and then he literally stands up, he takes his belt off, unzips his pants, and then sits back down. I'm not even kidding you. And he's like, this is how you should eat a roast beef sandwich. I'm like, bro, what is going on right now?
You're going to get us banned from YouTube. You keep telling this story.
Dude, like, what is going on right now? If you have not seen it, it's a meme. It's an absolute meme. It's hilarious. But like the Wendy's CEO, dude, he eats the whole hamburger, right?
Dude, I think Wendy's is trash now, honestly. As
their
a fast
hamburgers
food connoisseur,
really?
I ordered. Okay, so I mean, the context is important, right? A few months ago, I ended up ordering Wendy's at night. It's probably like 1 a.m. The burger I got.
Oh, that's why.
It was worse. It was worse than McDonald's, man. And I don't hate McDonald's burgers, for the record. I kind of like them. They're just small. This was like the worst fast food burger I'd ever eaten in my entire life.
Now, I will say Whataburger is the worst fast food hamburger I've ever eaten in my life.
Fuck you.
I'm not even kidding.
I will not let you. I will not let
you slander him like that. dude.
I will not let you say that. I love
okay.
Whataburger. I'm going to be having Whataburger this weekend.
Okay. The issue is, I will probably say, so we went to a concert. It was 2:00 in the morning. Whataburger had just come to Kansas City. There was like a line around the block. We literally waited 45 minutes to get Whataburger. It was like new. It was the only thing that was open. I get it. It's the most stale bun I've ever eaten in my life. The meat was like under a food lamp. I had to have been for like an hour or two. Like the lettuce was soggy. It was awful. I have had Whataburger in Texas. It was good. I will say. I will
There we
say.
go.
But the one I had in Kansas City was easily, hands down, the worst fast food hamburger I've ever had.
I'll be honest though. I had a Whataburger in New Mexico that was absolutely awful. So
Yeah,
I can understand where you're coming from, but it hits a sensitive part because that's like when I was younger, Whataburger was by far my favorite fast food burger chain, and the quality's gone down a lot over the last 10 years, which makes me sad. But like, there was something about Whataburger back then that was just so good. And ironically, you know who bought them? Private equity. I'm surprised we haven't talked about private equity yet on this show. That's a pretty good, that's a pretty clean transition right there. Let's talk about Blackstone, Blue Owl. These companies.
I gotta say real quick.
Did you see the BlackRock today marked down a loan?
I did.
To zero from 3 months ago to private credit.
Before we get into this, Tommy, and Louis, what are your guys' favorite hamburger spots?
Five Guys.
Yes, Louis, let's fucking go. My guy.
I'm probably going to say, I would say it used to be, like, since Whataburger declined, I would usually say Five Guys, but I feel like Five Guys has kind of fallen off a little bit too. What I think has the freshest ingredients is Shake Shack.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shake Shack has very good chicken also. So, like, I get the chicken bites, 2 double cheeseburgers.
Their hamburgers are just tiny, though. Like, I literally, 4-bite their hamburgers.
Dude, that's how I feel about McDonald's.
I went to In-N-Out in Scottsdale. It was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
In-N-Out has the best burger prices by far.
Yeah, and they ran it was like a very well-ran business.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite impressed.
Buffalo.
They call your number out and they say, please. Come get your food. Order 5, please.
See, East Coasters aren't used to that. They're used to being like, hey, here's your food.
Yeah.
There's a pizza place by me actually that has incredible burgers. Like, I know them for their burgers now, not their pizza. But their pizza's also just phenomenal.
Getting hungry now, guys.
Dude, yeah, I'm about to cook it.
I might have to get Shake Shack at the airport later today.
Yeah, you're traveling?
I'm traveling, not abroad, but I'm traveling to Phoenix.
Would you say it's a vacation?
I guess.
We're gonna pump.
Well, okay, so
Louis,
Louis,
I guess until Sunday night.
Louis, you got to be careful saying that because the last times I traveled was August of 24. That was a Japan carry trade.
Yeah.
And then March of 25. So I jump on a plane in 5 days.
Oh, great. Great. Good.
All right, Blackstone. Back to Blackstone anyways.
That's our typical Thursday, Friday off-topic rant, man. I'm happy it could be about cheeseburgers. Much more appealing than horse burgers.
Dude, I'm starving now. I'm so hungry now.
I have leftover steak from last night that I'm gonna have for lunch. So if that makes you feel any more hungry. But all right, yeah, let's close the show on a good note. Let's talk about some private equity names because I feel like most people aren't really paying attention to how bad these charts look. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked at the Blackstone chart recently, but it's dire. It's dire, and Blue Owl has now sold back to cycle lows. These are, private equity companies. BlackRock I'll give you the exact headline here. But we're seeing some cracks in private credit markets, which when I look at HYG, I'm not really surprised to see that. But yeah, BlackRock slashed the value of a private loan to 0 3 months after assessing its value at 100 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
So how much of the private credit value in the market is just completely fake?
A lot of it.
And we know this, right? We know this, but I think that's the difficulty with, that trade specifically is private credit is an illiquid market. So how do you actually end up marking it down? And I've been kind of thinking to myself about this week. And it's really I think it's a result of the fact that we're seeing all of these different sectors now start to crack. We saw crypto. We saw software over the last few weeks. I'm sure we could highlight some other memory stocks have sold off from the high. So we're seeing, I think, just like weakness in all of these individual sectors start to add up for these private equity firms. What do you think about that?
I think there's a big risk in the market right now. You talked about it probably 2 weeks ago. You talked about maybe it was you, maybe it was somebody else was talking about, but Oracle and OpenAI, for instance. OpenAI has to meet $1.5 trillion in deliverables. How are they going to do that? Right?
Jeez.
Yeah. How is OpenAI going to be able to do that when 80% of their revenue is literally based off a $20 a month subscription model? You have to sell so many of those. You have to sell I don't even know, like a billion of those subscriptions to meet that. I look across the board too. And like you said, they've just been writing these checks, just writing checks like it's nobody's business. And it really reminds me of, and I talked to Tommy about this, the data centers remind me of fiber, where fiber was huge. They were putting it in everywhere. And then everything went to towers. And then after everything went to towers, it was like...
I think we were talking about food fiber. I was like, what is he talking about?
Louis daydreaming over here.
Louis
needs to get off the call. No, but everything went to towers, and then none of this fiber gets used anymore. And the Microsoft CEO came out last week and he said the real commodity is not the data centers. The commodity for AI is your algorithm and your compute or your computation, right? And how efficient it is in using the compute. And the models that we're training these AIs on are only going to get better and better and better and better. And if we're trying to meet quote unquote current demands, but let's say that these models use a new model uses a fifth or even a tenth of the compute that the current ones do, very quickly, then the data center supply essentially becomes oversaturated. And I think people need to be very careful and very mindful of that. And Apple is very smart. They realize this, and they're saying, hey, you guys can go out and do all that stuff. Once we figure out what works and you guys show it what works, then we'll enter into the game, right? Apple has had negative CapEx this past quarter, right? Where you look at all the other companies, and it's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And so the companies that have spent all this money, you have to fortify your balance sheet. And you do so by what? By generating cash. But these data centers are not doing that, right? And so it's a one-way train, right? It's complete outflow. And their inflow is based off of their current business models, but not coming from the build outs for, the data centers and their quote unquote future business models. And they haven't been able to figure out how to monetize that. And if you can monetize that in a meaningful way, you then justify the spending. But right now, it's very difficult to justify that spending because things will become more efficient. And those chips too, they don't last forever, right? They last maybe 3 years running on full capacity, 24/7, yada, 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 maybe 5, at most 7. And then you have to replenish, right? And so you got to be very careful to where these balance sheets, the big guys, the players, mega cap, their balance sheets at a certain point will get to a, you know, to a period where equity shareholders are going to be like, hey, we need you guys to justify this. And because of that, we don't think that it's justified. We're going to re-rate, and we're going to, we think you should be valued at, a lower multiple.
Yeah.
And then that's when things become repriced.
To me, it's almost like equities are going to have their own spring 2022 moment that crypto had, where all of those altcoins with egregious FDVs got marked down like crazy. To me, that's almost kind of what I think it's going to end up looking like. Because you think about all the altcoins that were, venture deals, private equity, seeded in 2021, or, that were launched before that, but just had these FDVs that you simply could not justify at the current valuation of the market. And I mean, yeah, the rest is history. We know what happened to those altcoins. I'm not saying that I think that you're going to see equity charts, like high-end equity charts, necessarily do that. But I mean, we saw how quickly that air can get let out of those valuations in real time. Oh my God.
Oh no. Have you heard that conspiracy? Where all the cowhides at?
What?
Like
Are you about to ruin Panda Express? I haven't had Panda Express in years, so actually.
No, it's just basically this thing, like we eat X amount of cows every single day. Where is all the hides going? Kind of thing.
Oh God. Don't make me think I'm not even going to entertain this rabbit hole today. I don't have the mental energy for it.
I think it's a good place to wrap.
I think that is a good place to wrap. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I felt like it was a good mixture of fun and alpha. Talked about a whole bunch of topics regarding the current market, where we think things are going, and obviously where price is at right now. But if you enjoyed the show today, a reminder that we host Market Check throughout the week when the New York Stock Exchange is open on the following days: Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So not Tuesday, but you can expect to see us every other weekday. Like I said, when there's not a holiday for U.S. markets. And our typical start time is around 11:30 to 11:40 a.m. Eastern Standard. So we'll catch you guys again tomorrow to wrap up the week. Of course, also make sure to tune in for Market Talk, hosted by the legendary King Wabi, guys. That is an X Spaces, not just hosted by Wabi, but also the Because Bitcoin account on X. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both, so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course also when we go live. I think the vibe on those spaces has been absolutely fantastic recently. So if you haven't been tuning in, I think it's a great time to do that. The conversation's been very lively, especially on these days where we have a ton of volatility in the market. So definitely check that out when you guys have the chance. Like I said, follow King Wabi, follow Because Bitcoin on X, so you can be notified when these spaces begin. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. We hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week if we don't see you again. Otherwise, we'll be back bright and early for another episode of Market Check to finish off the week. Thank you again. And of course, as always, guys, stay safe.